Hey there, Willowbrook, and thanks so much for doing our daily Devo. Today we are in Matthew chapter 7. If you've ever heard someone say something like, "Don't judge me," they're getting that idea actually from Matthew chapter 7. Jesus himself says these words. He says, "Do not judge others, and you will not be judged." Well, that sounds like a mic drop moment to me. But Jesus actually doesn't stop there. He unpacks this idea of not judging others. He says, "For you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged." And then he says, "And why worry about the speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, 'Let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye,' when you can't see past the log in your own eye?" Jesus is actually explaining, hey, let's think this through. If you've got a friend who has a speck in their eye and you want to help get it out, why would you do so with a 2x4 sticking out of your own eye? I mean, it's almost comical. And the point that Jesus is making is not that we shouldn't judge, but that self-righteousness can blind us. He goes on and he says this, "Hypocrite, first get rid of the log in your own eye, and then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye." He's saying, hey, a lot of times it's easy to identify things in other people's lives that need to be fixed. And maybe you want to correct them, and maybe you even find yourself judging them. He says, the point is not whether or not you judge. The point is whether or not you've dealt with your own heart. And so as we look at this passage, there's 3 questions that I think we need to be asking ourselves. And the first one is, have you checked your own heart? Have you allowed God to examine your heart? You open your heart to him and said, hey, search me. See if there's anything in me that needs to be dealt with, including self-righteousness, because often our judgment can be a reflection of a self-righteous attitude, which we don't often talk about, but is just as sinful and just as dangerous as many of the sins that we judge others for. The other one is your motivation in judgment or correction, is it love? Or is it superiority? Do you find yourself thinking that you're better than someone else? Or do you have a heart of love and compassion for them as you address areas in someone's life? And then the final question to look at is, am I offering help or am I handing out shame? And that's a heart issue, and it often can be identified as we think through the way we use our words, when we think through the tone we use. Also, I think as we think through the posture and we come to the person with, if you haven't come to the person without talking to God about your own heart, but then talking to God about the person that has an issue, then maybe we're not approaching it correctly. And that's what Jesus is saying. He says, if you're going to judge, don't unless you're ready to be judged, but also recognize that we have to do a heart check. We have to allow our lives to be opened up and examined by God before we do this to someone else. He finishes this passage with verse 6 by saying this, "Don't waste what is holy on people who are unholy. Don't throw your pearls to pigs, because they will trample the pearls, then turn and attack you." Here's what Jesus is saying. He's saying, hey, you know what? Not everybody is ready for correction. Not everybody, even if you've done your own hard work, is ready for you to help and address issues with them. Prayerfully consider how you handle sin in other people's lives. First, do a heart check. First, look at your motivations. First, look at the posture in which you approach somebody. And then also talk to God about, is this the time? Is this person ready? And then let the Holy Spirit that lives inside you be the one to reign, because judgment is not the problem. Our self-righteousness, our motivation, our lack of love, or our need for superiority can often be the thing that the enemy uses instead of allowing God to use it for his kingdom glory. Oh, Willowbrook, I love you. and I hope that you'll have a happy Wednesday.